Today, 1st of October, is Ukraine Defender Day. Last weekend in the Financial Times, there was a very interesting and thought-provoking article from the historian and philosopher Yuval Noah Harari, which was titled "Why Ukraine is Winning." And in that article, he stated that Ukraine's weakest link was currently in the minds of her Western friends. I can well remember at the start of this horrible further invasion being ridiculed when I went on interview and suggested that Ukraine could win. But from the very start and in the darkest days, there wasn't one of my Ukrainian friends that I ever spoke to that told me that they would not win. In fact, I always recall one friend saying, if Russia stops fighting, there will be no war. If Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. They know this is existential. Those words have since been borne out by the horrible murderous atrocities that we've seen in places like Bucha and Irpin and Mariupol and many, many other cities, towns and villages where the Russian barbarians have occupied. So this faith in Ukraine, may well be changing. We saw an apparent U-turn from Donald Trump last week in his Truth Social post, where he suggested that Ukraine could not only win, but they could take back all of the land that they had lost going back to 2014. We await the action on that. But then yesterday, Keith Kellogg, his special Ukrainian envoy, suggested that at the Warsaw Security Council, suggested that Putin, in his heart of hearts, knows that he cannot win this war. So to put things in context, in almost the last 3 years, Russia has taken just 1% of Ukrainian land, and they have done that at a massive cost to themselves of well over 1,000 casualties a day, either killed or horribly injured. Russia's casualties are currently running at well over 1 million since the 24th of February 2024. So, I had a soundbite which I deployed from my very earliest interviews. I said we needed to arm Ukraine to the teeth and sanction Russia back to the Stone Age. Well, we're starting to give Ukraine more arms, but more importantly, Ukraine is giving Ukraine more arms. And I believe up to 60% of their frontline armaments are now being produced by the Ukrainians themselves. They have also got the very impressive long-range cruise missile Pelican with a range of 3,000 kilometers and a warhead of over a ton. This, along with their drone development, is wreaking havoc on Russia's oil industry. And we have seen this week for the first time that Russia is now being forced to import petrol. So there is no doubt that Russia is creaking. This is the time for us in the West to be brave and to finally go in and give Ukraine every single weapon and assistance that they say they need. They are still not asking for our boots on the ground. It will be far cheaper for us to do this now than to wait for a war that we are dragged into fully, and to increase the sanctions and, as I say, properly arm Ukraine to the teeth and properly sanction Russia back to the Stone Age. Slava Ukraini.